Welcome to Burley Man Sings Girly Song. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Burley Man Sings Girly Song.
George! Hey, George! What are you doing?
I can't do this, Evie.
What do you mean you can't do this? These people are here to see you. George, come out of that closet.
You know, I've always been afraid to sing in public. Just give everybody their money back and send them home.
You can't do that, George. You have no choice.
What?
You have no choice.
Now there is no choice. I must put aside the fears I feel inside when there's no place left to hide. So it comes to this, one brave golden chance that only I can take when everything I've worked for is at stake. To make the mark that only I can make. This is the moment, this is the day when I send all my doubts and demons on their way. Every endeavor I have made ever is coming into play. It's here and now today. This is the moment. This is the time when the momentum and the moment are in rhyme. Give me this moment, this precious chance. I'll gather up my past and make some sense at last. This is the moment when all I've done, all of my dreaming, my scheming and screaming become one. This is the day. See it sparkle and shine when all I live for becomes mine. For all these years I faced the world alone, but now the time has come to prove to them I can make it on my own. This is the moment, my final test. Destiny beckons, I never reckon second best. I won't look down, I must not fall. This is the moment, the sweetest moment of them all. This is the moment, damn all the odds. This day or never, I sit forever with the gods. So when I look back, I will always recall, moment for moment, this was the moment, the greatest moment of them all. Well, thank you so very much, and welcome to Burley Man Sings Girly Songs, my latest show tune, Queen and Sexual Outlaw. And it is very true. I've always actually been scared to death to sing in public not as a character in a play, but in a karaoke bar or a piano bar, just terrified. So I thought, well, the best way to get over something like that would be to write a show about yourself as a serum monogamist and sing it all by yourself. So that's what I've decided to do. And all of the show tunes that I'm doing tonight are written for women, thus Burley Man Sings Girly Songs, because they always get the best show tunes. And I personally believe that there is a show tune that is appropriate for every moment in life. But before we start on that particular journey, I'd like to introduce my musical director. This is a woman who I have known since I was 19 years old. She has seen me through almost all of the adult relationships I will be singing about this evening. I've known her through all of her marriages.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Effie Lang Lip Franco Mingus Ellis.
So Effie, let's start at the very beginning. And don't worry, I'm not going to sing anything from that show. I hate that show. I call it The Sound of Mucus. And I really dislike that show because it has children in it. And I did children's theater for years. I believe that's how I lost my hair. But truth be told, I myself was a child once. And I knew from a very young age that I was a gay boy. Not quite that young, but around that young. And unfortunately for my parents, so did they. They knew from a very young age. And they used to do these very odd things, like anything they could do to point me in the right direction. And one of the things they did was they bought me a head-to-toe football uniform. Now, they didn't enroll me in Pop Warner football, and my father never tossed a football with me, not once. And I guess they just thought if I dressed up in this outfit and walked around the living room, it would butch me up a little.
That's my little man.
So, being the precocious little brat that I have always been, and because my parents used to torture me by making me listen to country western music 24/7, I would put on my outfit and dance around the living room and sing a little song for them. I want to be a cowboy sweetheart. I want to rope and ride. I want to ride through the plains and the desert, out west of the Great Divide. I want to hear the coyotes singing as the sun sets in the west. I want to be a cowboy sweetheart. That's the life I love the best. Yodeling, 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 actually use that number to warm up because of the yodeling part opens up the soft palate. But I have a friend here in Asbury Park who's an opera singer, my friend Brett Colby. I called him up and I said, Brett, can you give me a few pointers on how you think I should warm up? And he recommended using this. Yodeling, 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 yodeling. Was that any way to treat a penis? No wonder she was married 4 times. Well, my poor parents, they had no idea what to do with me. They heard me walking around the living room singing country western songs, so they thought, well, hey, would you like a cowboy outfit? I was like, no.
I want to be an Indian.
Because the Indians always got to tie up the cowboy. Now, when you ask most men my age how they got into bondage, they'll tell you it was from watching Batman and Robin on television. Because at the end of every Batman and Robin show, two men in tights were tied up and struggling for their life. But that wasn't me. It was because they used to force me to watch all these westerns. So I asked them for a little Indian outfit. And for this next segment, I'm going to need a shill. Mindy, did you give me a shill?
Yeah, there's a guy named Dan. Dan, where are you?
Dan? Dan, would you come up and be my shill for me, please? I'm going to need a little help with this next segment. Dan, are you out there? Well, hello. Well, welcome, Dan. Will you come up and stand right here?
Okay.
We're going to put you in this little cowboy hat here. Doll you up a little bit. He's so young. Not that I like him like that. Well, Dan, you're going to be my little next-door neighbor, Mark. We live in a place. And Mark and I used to like to play little games. And we're going to put your hands behind your back, like you're tied to a pole. Here, hold on to that for me. Okay. Now, I want you to imagine I'm 6. He's 7. I'm dressed in my lovely little Indian outfit. And he's completely naked except for boots and a hat. Now imagine my mother's chagrin. When she came downstairs to do laundry, and found me skipping around naked little Mark to, let's see, what's my Walt Disney yellow 78 RPM record. Oh, Pegasus Bill was quite a cowboy down in Texas, and a Western Superman to say the least. He was the roughest, toughest critter, never known to be a quitter, and he never had no fear of man or beast. So you tie-ay, tie-ay. He's the toughest critter west of the Alamo. But Mom!
His mother is calling him George Elwood.
Oh, that's the last name. You better go. Thanks. See you tomorrow. Well, my poor parents, they had no idea what to do with me. And, you know, things were a little bit different then. It wasn't quite so open, and there wasn't as much information about having a gay child as there is today. And I used to humiliate them probably at least once every 2 or 3 years by getting caught seducing a little boy in the neighborhood. I was good at the seducing part, but I wasn't very good at the not getting caught part. And of course, for them and their generation, it was even worse. The things that they were taught about gay people. And for those of you who either weren't there or don't remember, I brought a little educational video.
Boys, beware. One never knows when the homosexual is about. He may appear normal.
That looks innocent enough, doesn't it? Lots of young people hitchhike. Seems like a good way to get from one place to another. But sometimes there are dangers involved that never meet the eye. So no matter where you meet a stranger, be careful if they are too friendly. One never knows when the homosexual is about. Let's take the case of Jimmy Barnes. Jimmy played baseball all afternoon, and he didn't feel like walking home, so he decided to come a ride. He'd done it 100 times before. He didn't think anything was unusual when the driver struck up a friendly conversation. In fact, he seemed like a real nice guy. What Jimmy didn't know was that Ralph was sick. A sickness that was not visible like smallpox, but no less dangerous and contagious. A sickness of the mind. You see, Ralph was a homosexual. A person who demands an intimate relationship with members of their own sex. So no matter where you meet a stranger, be careful if they are too friendly, if they try to win your confidence too quickly, and if they become overly personal. One never knows when the homosexual is about. He may appear normal.
Oh, boy. Need a ride. I love picking up a hitchhiker. Don't worry, I'm not sick. I don't have a disease like smallpox, just maybe a disease of the mind. Now, can you imagine what it was like thinking you're raising this little boy who has a disease of the mind? But I love the outfit, don't you? This is my perv suit. Emmy and I were, shopping at, Goodwill. And I saw this and I absolutely had to have it. Because I thought this is what a perv would wear. It's 4X with elastic in it. Can you imagine that? Some guy in 4X, whatever this is, trying to pick up little boys who are hitchhiking. Well, I knew I had to have it because, to me, it looks just like a cross between a leisure suit, which my father used to wear, a smoking jacket, and a kimono. So I always wear this when I go out to pick up young men in a car. But my poor parents, they really didn't have any idea what to do with me. And we knew that everyone in the neighborhood knew because the women in the neighborhood kept plying me with show tune albums. So it was a dead giveaway. I knew, they knew, we all knew. So by the time I went to high school, it was apparent I had to try out for the musical. And that year, we were doing a little ditty I like to call Oklahoma Sexual. Yow! And my audition sounded something like this. Might go right, but ashore, hallelujah. I was 13, what do you want? But they were clearly desperate for male bodies because I got a role. And I was at the very first rehearsal, and the cast was being introduced to us. And when we got to Girly, the lead, I fell absolutely in lust. He was gorgeous.
Woof.
A senior.
Woof.
Muscles.
Woof.
And the captain of the gymnastics team. Well, the minute I saw Girly, and since we were in Oklahoma, all I could think of was, out of my dreams and into your arms, I long to fly. I will come as evening comes to a waiting sky. Out of your dreams and into the hush of falling shadows, when the mist is low and stars are breaking through, then out of my dreams I'll go into a dream with you. But before the second rehearsal could get there, he was at a gymnastics meet. He was doing a giant on the parallel bar, fell and dislocated both of his shoulders. Came into the next rehearsal with a cast that went from here up to the other side and down to here. And with not one, but two cheerleaders, one on each arm. Well, I was so disgusted with him. All I could think of was, many a new face will gaze my eye. Will find me. Never have I once looked back to sigh over romance behind me. Many a new day will dawn. Many a red sun will set. Many a blue moon will shine before I do. So fuck you. So after having, my heart just crushed, I moved on to the next show, which was Guys and Dolls, which I had gotten a better role because I'd learned how to sing a little bit better. And there I met this tall, skinny, black boy with a big old afro named Fremont. And I decided to invite Fremont over to go swimming in our pool, which was my modus operandi for seduction. And when Fremont got there, he dove into the pool, and the minute that he was underwater, I could hear my grandmother running from one end of the house to the other, screaming, "Elwood!" That was my father's name. "Elwood! There's a neighbor in the pool! There's a neighbor in the pool!" And fortunately, just as Fremont pops his head back up out of the water, I hear my father say,
"Don't worry, Mom, it doesn't wash off."
So I decided it was probably better not to try and seduce Fremont there in my house, because I was so awful at not getting caught. So I waited, and the show went off very well. And that night of the cast party, everyone that was there got shit-faced drunk, except for me and Fremont. And after everyone had passed out completely, we pulled out the little Castro convertible, climbed in, started talking, and one thing led to another, and I pounced. It was the first time I had actually had what you would call sex. Everything up to that was just like a little diddling and dancing around. And because I'm show tune queen, and I was in Guys and Dolls, during the entire sex act, all I could think of was, "Ask me how do I feel, ask me how the Well, sir, all I can say is if I were a bell, I'd be ringing. From the moment we stood tonight, that's the way I've just got to behave. Boy, if I were a lamp, I'd light, and if I were a banner, I'd wave. Ask me how do I feel, ask me now that we're fondly caressing. Pal, if I were a salad, I know I'd be splashing my dressing. And if I were a watch, I'd start popping my spring. Or if I were a bell, I'd go ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. Well, even though everyone was really drunk, we, I guess, were just drunk enough so that we could be able to say the next day,
"Well, man, I don't remember a thing about last night."
but I remembered. And that young man and I continued our two-part harmony any chance we had, in the bushes outside of his house, at my house, in his bedroom, in my bedroom, anywhere and everywhere we could get together. I had finally gotten good at the not getting caught part. And because of my relationship with him, I was starting to develop a definite taste for men of color. And when I got, after high school, went to the local community college, one of the first men I met was Big Black Charlie. Thusly named because he was big and black and named Charlie. And he had this gorgeous basso profundo voice, and he was very attractive, and he had just gotten out of the Navy, that too. He was there on the GI Bill, and he was out. He wore a lambda. And he wanted me. And I was scared to death, and I avoided him like the plague because I didn't want anyone to know that I was gay. And at that point in time, I was stripping about half of the women in the theater department because, as we all know, actresses are pretty easy.
You never had me.
I know you were always married. Well, Big Black Charlie pursued me, and I just kept running away until one day he says to me, "How'd you like to go see the Dance Theater of Harlem?" And being the theater whore that I am, I said, "Okay, and I'll go." So we went, and we came home, and we were sitting in my car in the parking lot after the show, just talking and chatting, and one thing led to another, and I pounced! College, sex, and car, how cliche. So we started dating, and that was the year I turned 19. It was 1976, and I like to say I went by for the bicentennial. We all had to do our part. And as most gay people will tell you, becoming a bisexual is really just a learner's permit for being a queer. So I was learning. And because I'm so theatrical, I decided I had to come out in a fairly large way. So the next day, 2 days later, we were at a meeting of the entire theater department, and I had to give a little talk on a seminar that I went to. And right in the middle of the talk, I decided to lie back into the arms of the only known homosexual on campus. And I was out in a big way. Everyone knew, and anyone who didn't know found out very quickly. That's the theater, darling. But the night before I decided to do that, I went to a very close friend of mine, who I had a crush on, of course, because we all have a crush on our best friend before we come out. And when I came out to him, all he had to say was,
"Whoa, I don't give a shit as long as you don't expect me to suck your dick."
"Oh, that Jimmy, he was always so eloquent." And I was crushed, because of course that was exactly what I wanted him to do. Hands touch, eyes meet, sudden silence, sudden heat, heart left in a giddy whirl. He could be that boy, but I'm not a girl. Don't dream too far, don't lose sight of what you are. Don't remember that rush of joy. He could be that boy, but I'm not a girl. Every so often we long to steep to the land of what might have been, but that doesn't soften the ache we feel when reality sets back in. Lithe smile, lithe lips, she who's winsome, she wins him. Gold hair and a gentle curl, he could be that boy, but I'm not a girl. Yes, that's her. That's who he threw me over for. The bitch. Actually, she's still a friend. That's how we got the picture. She's a close friend of Evie's for all of these years. But I did get the final revenge when she told Evie
He wasn't a very good kisser.
And that's that about that. So I was starting to build a little self-esteem and some self-confidence, and I finally asked Big Black Charlie to take me to the local gay bar because I thought it was time for me to see what that was like. And that was here in Asbury Park, the old M&K. And I went for the very first time, and he introduced me to a bunch of his friends, one of whom slipped me his phone number, unbeknownst to Charlie. I called him the next morning, fucked him that afternoon, and dumped Charlie that night. What a shithead. But that's the cost of bringing somebody out. As soon as they get a little confidence, they meet somebody else and they dump you. Yeah. After that, I had another good friend in the department, a woman, who said she thought she had a friend who was struggling with trying to come out, and she wanted me to meet him and see if I could give her the 411 on the whole deal. So she introduced me to Anthony, who was quite a bit of a whiner. We called him Agony. Oh, Agony, Agony, again. But I thought he was kind of cute. He's a little Italian boy. He's a little sweet. And of course, what did I do? I invited him over to go swimming. And we're sitting there in my bedroom, and we're just chatting. And I come out to him, And he was shocked. He was...
But you're so masculine. How can you be gay?
I said, well, not all gay men have to be sissy Marys. I'm your average, ordinary kind of gay boy, competent and neat, making life a treat, others as a nice. You meet often, I know, at least once or twice every decade or so. I'm your everyday, customary kind of gay boy, practical as salt, modest to a fault, conservative with a budget, liberal with a meal, just your average ideal. Now my telling him this may have seemed sudden and strange. It might not have interested him much at all right then, but things change, and they change. Still I would have understood if I wasn't his kind of gay boy. I guess he could have made one terrible mistake, 'cause I had no special glamour, no bait I could try, for I'm just a plain, everyday, commonplace, come what may, average, ordinary, wonderful, gay guy. So needless to say, we never made it to the pool because I pounced. We dated for, I guess, a year and a half, because I'm monogamous. And one day, I went to visit a friend of mine at Rochester Institute of Technology, which was about an 8-hour train ride away. While I was gone, Agony decided to get a little self-confidence, and he hauled his ass down to the gay bar by himself and dumped me after meeting someone hotter over the phone. Shit. But I guess I deserved that, because I brought him out, and that's what happened. Oh well. So, after Agony, I graduated from my local community college, and shortly after that, my parents threw me out of the house for being a pot-smoking queer with no job and no prospects. So, I really couldn't blame them. I had a brother who was 9 years younger, and they didn't want any undue influence. So I ended up on a mattress on the kitchen floor at Effie's house with a dog. And I stayed there for a couple months until my uncle was kind enough to get me a job building Cadillacs at General Motors. Yes, I was a UAW man. How butch is that? So I saved up about every dime and nickel I could possibly earn, which was a lot of money for a single man back then. And I got myself an apartment in Chelsea, not far from Greenwich Village. I signed up for every acting, singing, and dancing lesson I could find. But when the time came for me to leave, my friends clearly didn't want me to go because no one showed up to help me move except for Effie. Effie to the rescue. So here I had a U-Haul, all my possessions packed, and no one to help. So my father called his brothers and sisters, and they all descended, packed me in the van, and off we went like the Beverly Hillbillies. With the men in the back with a case of beer and a carton of cigarettes, and just us girls up front, me driving, my mother, 2 aunts, and Effie. And because all of us show-tune queens of that era wanted to be Barbra Streisand, right around the time we got to the Turnpike, sing it with me, Barbara. I'll beat my drum, and if I'm fanned out, you'll turn it back, sir. At least I didn't fake it hot, sir. Guess I didn't make it get ready for me, love, 'cause I'm a come up. They gotta march my heart's a drum and nobody, no, nobody is gonna rain on my parade. Yeah!
New York City, beware the homosexual.
The homosexual menace. Here is a normal, healthy male. He enjoys drinking beverages of an alcoholic nature, watching sporting activities on the television, and thoroughly enjoys the company of women. Life for this happy fellow is good. But hello, what's this? A well-dressed gentleman casually sauntering past while drinking. That's right. This poor chap has just been harassed by a homosexual. But what is a homosexual? Homosexuals, or fancy gentlemen, they're shipped all over the world to infiltrate society, posing as hairstylists, dancers, or interior designers. They're reproduced by the process of mitosis and begin their nefarious exploits. Homosexuals are very much like the devil, who they practice in the craft of deceit. They also have many different names. Popular terms for gay people are pretty fellows, dandy campers, and flappy chaps. The collective term for the group of homosexual gays is a mincing. They live in camps where they spend their time concocting fresh batches of AIDS, things in lace, presenting offerings to their bedazzled goddess, Lady Gaga, and killing children by the adoption process. Gays find all other men attractive. Nobody is safe from their lecherous advances. Take heed. Homosexuals present a very real threat to you and your sexuality. They are masters of the dark arts, and their mere presence can turn a normal human male into a drooling scion of depravity. Illustrate by being vigilant and avoiding the homosexual at all costs. There are 3 ways in which you might identify a homophile. Number 1. Gay men like to wear hats and or neckerchiefs of a flamboyant nature. Number 2. Gay men have difficulty resisting all innuendo. 3. You might better know the sodomite by his battle cry of, "Ooh, ducky." So, now you are aware of, and can avoid, the homosexual menace.
Now for the sexual outlaw part of the show, the mine shaft.
New York City, 1978, Christopher Street, home of gay clubs, leather joints, and piano bars, abounding. And as soon as I got to New York City, all I really wanted to do was get into a leather bar like the Mine Shaft and have me some S&M sex. I had read a lot about it. And I thought I could be good at this. So I know most of you think of S&M as, whips and chain and a lot of pain and all of that, but that's really not what it's all about. If you're good at it, it's just about releasing endorphins. And truth be told, if you have never had an orgasm during a runner's high, you have not lived. But for me, S&M was really more sex as theater. I have a costume, you have a costume. We have props. I have a role, you have a role, we have an improvisational script, and sometimes we even have a set, like a dungeon, or a doctor's office, or the principal's office. Excuse me. Are you staring at my cock?
George, put your cock away.
Here, Mary, will you hold my cock?
Oh, that's foul.
She just say that. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome my special guest, Ms. Mary Lawrence. thought a one-man show was a great idea, but right about this point in time, I was even bored with me. So I decided to ask Mary to come and sing a few numbers with me so that we could make things, you know, completely different. And as you know, Mary, there was a time, I don't know when, I didn't have much time for men. But this is now and that was then, I'm learning. A boy alone, out on his own, must try to have a heart of stone. So I try not to make it known my yearnings. I try to show I have no needs, I really do.
You don't succeed.
So let's bring on the man and let the fun begin. A little touch of sin, why wait another minute? Step this way, it's time for us to play. They say we may not pass this way again, so let's waste no more time, bring on the men. So the first time I got myself into the mine shaft, I started walking through the labyrinth of rooms that were there, and they had a room for every single fetish you could imagine, and I saw some things that I didn't even know were humanly possible. And while I'm walking around being what they called a tourist, because I wasn't participating in anything, I saw this cute little guy was following me everywhere I went. He was from in head to toe leather. I thought, well, maybe I'm just mistaken, but after about an hour, everywhere I went, he was right there behind me. I thought, he wants me. This is my chance. I'm going to have me some S&M sex tonight. So when he got just a little too close, I reeled around, grabbed him by the back of his neck, pulled him tight, planted a really hard kiss on him, and I wouldn't let him go. And he's struggling, trying to push me away, and he's beating on my chest, and I'm thinking, I'm pretty good at this. He loves it. And he finally pulls away and looks me right in the face and goes, oh, why do they all have to be so rough?
Always do.
I've always said, a little leather, black or red, can drive a man right off his head, that's easy. So many men,
So little time.
I'm wonderful. Is that a crime?
No.
I don't know why they say that I'm too easy. They make me laugh, they make me cry, they make me sick, so God knows why. We say bring on the man and let the fun begin. A little touch of sin, why wait another minute? Step this way, it's time for us to play. They say we may not pass this way again, so let's waste no more time, bring on the men. So the second time I go to the mine shaft, I walk around the deepest, darkest, bottomest basement, where I see these two gorgeous men who look like Tom of Finland drawings. Something like that. And they seem completely enraptured in each other, and I'm thinking, oh, I want one of those. That's the kind of relationship I want to be in. And I have to know what they're talking about because they are riveted to each other. And so I just nonchalantly slide over, and I lean down to listen to what they're saying. And they were comparing gazpacho recipes. Your heart, they steal your soul, take you apart, and then they somehow make you whole. So what's their game? I suppose a rose by any other name. The perfume and the prick's the same. So the final time I go to the mine shaft, they're having what they call a dungeon demo. And men are showing off their skills with their, their submissives. And there's this one that has this crowd of people around, and I can't see, so I grab a chair, and I get on the chair, and I'm watching in rapture. Because there's this man, he has this boy tied up, with his ass exposed, and he's spraying him with vodka, touching his ass with a violet wand, setting his ass on fire, and putting it out with a paddle. How creative is that? And this cute little boy comes up next to me and goes, "Can I get up there and watch?" So I pull him up and he goes, "Oh my God!" And you have to realize this is a very reverent scene. No one is speaking. Everyone is just riveted. And he screams, "Oh, I'll take my medium rare." I like to have a breakfast each day.
He's very social and he likes it that way.
By late in the morning, I need something too much.
So he asks over 2 men for lunch.
And then I'm mad about my afternoon tea.
They're quite informal, he just does it to please.
Those triple sandwiches are my favorite ones. I'm also very partial to buns. My healthy appetite gets strongest at night.
His at-home dinners are his favorite delight.
When I invite the fellas over to dine, they all come early, in bed by 9. So let's bring on the man and let the fun begin. A little touch of cinch, why wait another minute? Step this way, it's time for us to play. They say we made a curse this way again, so let's waste no more time. Bring on the So more about me. The very first night I got to New York City, all I really wanted to do was get myself into a leather bar. But I was scared to death to go in one. So I unpacked just enough clothing so I could look as good as I could as some podunk from rural New Jersey who grew up with chickens in the yard. And I got myself down to Christopher Street, and I saw the leather bar that I wanted to go into, boots and saddles, and it's still there. But I was scared to death, and who do I see all of a sudden coming down the street in the other direction? Fremont. He's sashaying down his little designer gym bag, and I went, "Fremont, what are you doing here?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm shacking up with some NYU professor over there at the college." And I was like, "Really? That's so nice for you. You're going to take me into that bar." "I can't go in that bar. It's a leather bar." I know, let's go. So I grabbed him and I pulled him and I made him take me there, and he was scared to death. We sort of stood out a little. But somebody came over to talk to me, and the minute he did, Fremont bolted. Sissy. So this very attractive Latin man started chatting me up, and Latin's one of my favorite flavors. And he seduced me with his career. I wanted to be an actor, and he had just come off the road on the national tour of Greece as Teen Angel. And I was so terribly naive. I had no idea that Teen Angel was what we call a Tubbs Queen. And that's somebody who likes to go to the gay bathhouses and have sex with multiple numbers of people in an evening. Not the idea for a serial monogamist. But I had no idea. But I did really learn a few important things right away from Teen Angel. I learned what crabs were and what scabies were. So needless to say, Teen Angel and I didn't last for very long. The next man I started dating, because I can only date one at a time, was about 30 years older than me. He had money. He liked to tell people he was keeping me, which was fine with me. And he seduced me with his VCR. They had just come out. He had Betamax, top of the line. And he would say that he was appalled with the fact that I didn't really know very much about all of our gay Hollywood icons.
What? You mean you don't know who Garbo was? I'm appalled.
See? So he decided he had to give me gay lessons. So I would go to his apartment pretty much every night of the week, and he'd pop something in the Betamax, and we would watch Betty Davis, Joan Crawford, Barbara Stanwyck, all while he was performing oral sex on me. I used to call him Goldilocks because he would always say I had the perfect penis.
Not too big, not too small, but just right.
Oh, you know, you could really love a guy like that for a little while. After that, I met a man who was an editor at GQ magazine, very well dressed. And he was an Arab with beautiful olive skin, long, flowing, curly black hair, and the most beautiful, stunning blue eyes I had ever seen. I fell in love immediately with those eyes. Did that ever happen to you?
Well, maybe once.
Well, that's really what I remember most are those eyes. Oh, I remember. In his eyes I can see where my heart longs to be.
In his eyes I see a gentle glow, and that's where I'll be safe, I know.
Safe in his arms, close to his heart.
But I don't know quite where to start.
By looking in his eyes, will I see beyond tomorrow?
By looking in his eyes, will I see beyond the sorrow that I feel?
Will his eyes reveal to me promises or lies?
But he can't conceal from me the love in his eyes.
I know their every look.
His
He's like an open book.
His
He's got the kind of looks that hypnotize me. If I were wise, I would walk away and gladly.
But sadly I'm not wise. It's hard to walk away from the memories that you prize.
Love is worth forgiving for. Now I realize everything worth living for is there in his eyes. Love is worth forgiving for. Now I realize everything worth living for is there in his eyes. Now, how young and naive do you need to be to believe that everything worth living for is there in someone's eyes? But the appropriate show tune for every moment in life. But truly, not all things are worth forgiving for. Like this guy. He was on the DL, the down low, before there even was a DL. He never wanted to be seen with me, and I'm thinking, well, what's up with that? I mean, he works for GQ magazine. He's got to be where's the $3 bill, right? But he only ever wanted to come over to my house to have sex, or we would go to these really obscure places like Brooklyn. It was a village So I always wondered why he never wanted me to come to his place, but then one day he called me up and invited me
This is progress. Maybe he's going to ask me to move in with him.
So I pack an overnight bag. And when I get there, the first thing he does is he introduces me to his wife.
What?
Yeah, that was my feelings exactly. What? And when he left the room to get us all a much needed drink, his wife turns to me and says,
You know, I know who you are. You're not the first, and you won't be the last. And when all is said and done, you'll be gone, and I'll still be here.
and of course, you know, she was right. Nothing is so good, it lasts eternally. Perfect situations must go wrong, but this has never yet prevented me wanting far too much for far too long. Looking back, I could have played it differently. Want a few more moments, who can tell? But it took time to understand the man. Now at least I know him well. Wasn't it good?
Oh, so good.
Wasn't he fine?
Oh, so fine.
Isn't it madness? He won't be mine. But in the end, he needs a little bit more than me. More security.
He needs his fantasy and freedom.
I know him so well.
No one in your life is with you constantly. No one is completely on your side. And though I move my world to be with him, still the gap between us is too wide. Looking back, I could have played it differently. Learned about the man before I fell. But I was ever so much younger then. Now at least I know him well. Wasn't it good?
Oh, so good.
Wasn't he fine?
Oh, so fine.
Isn't it madness?
He won't be mine. Didn't I know how it would go if I knew from the start? Why am I falling apart?
Wasn't he fine?
Isn't it madness? He won't be mine. But in the end, he needs a little bit more than me. More security.
He needs his fantasy and freedom.
I know him so well.
It took time to understand it.
I know him so
I'm taking your coffee.
What the hell is that? Sounds like a fist fight. We're gonna have to find out in the second act. We'll see you all in about 10 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lifetime Television for Women and Gay Men is delighted to bring you their new show that combines the lives of ordinary people with appropriate show tunes in a humiliating mix we like to call This Was Your Life as a Serial Monogamist. Tonight's ordinary serial monogamist is George Hansel! welcome to This Is Your Life. Let's start with your very first appropriate show tune.
Round and round in your magic spell, velvet glove, pink lapel. Life is a colorful carousel, reckless and terribly gay.
Oh, that's not
Do you remember this man?
What do you mean you won't let me fuck you? That's not fair!
Oh, yeah. That would have been Gary. Gary was the last relationship I had in New York City. We were together for about a year and a half. And my last night in New York City did not end well.
And why the painting?
Well, my last night we had a huge fist fight. He was a religious art collector, and we had everything from a 16th century bisque Christ hanging on the cross to a black paint on velvet, paint by number picture of the Last Supper. In that fist fight, I believe we trashed every single last piece of art he had, most of them having been thrown at me. I believe this was the last piece to go.
That's right. And for getting that first humiliation correct, you get to keep that lovely painting.
Gee, thanks.
And now for the serial monogamy.
Let me take you to the tunnel of love, dark and relaxing inside. All of us could share the tunnel of love. Please come along for the ride.
Remember the train, the rainstorm. Does that bring back memories of your ultimate serial monogamy moment?
Yes. Gary took the train to New Jersey to try and talk me into coming home with him. And I didn't want to go. So we went to a local piano bar here in Asbury Park called Blue Note. It was torrential rain and thunder and lightning. And I just kept saying no. And he kept begging, and I kept saying no. And in walks this really cute guy. She's heard this one. In walks this really cute guy, looking like a drowned rat. He sits across the bar from us and spends the night smiling at me. So here's what the scenario sounded like. Begging, no. Smiles, begging, no. Smiles, begging, no. Smiles all night long until I finally put Gary back on the train, never to see him again. So I couldn't get that smiling guy out of my mind. So the very next night I went back to the Blue Note, and there he was in the corner, playing Dig Dug. So I got myself a drink, I walked over, I introduced myself. He reels around, his eyes get wide, he drops his drink, smashes it all over the floor, and I knew in that moment, he was mine. So thinking I had matured through all of those relationships in New York City, I made him wait 2 days, and then I pounced. We moved in together shortly after that, kind of like lesbians. And that relationship lasted almost 8 years.
And what was he like?
He was an artist, a photographer, and because my art had failed so miserably in New York City, I did everything I could to insinuate myself into his art.
So leave one man one day and take up with another the next.
Yeah. But what I learned from that was two artists should never live together. One day we're just like, leave it to Beaver. One day it's just a typical life. And then he's off on a trip to Jamie Land, staring catatonic out the window. Barely even breathing all the while. And then he smiles, his eyes light up and deep within the ground. Without a sound, the moments come to life. I'm a part of that, and it's true. I tend to follow in his stride. Instead of side by side, I take his cue. True, there's no question, there's no doubt. I said I'd stick it out and follow through. And when I do, then he smiles. And where else can I go? I didn't know. The rules do not apply. And then he smiles, and nothing else makes sense while he invents the world that's passing by. And I'm a part of that. I'm a part of that. I'm a part of that. I'm not a part of that. Not a part of that. Not a part of that.
Learn anything this time around?
Yeah, the water should never live together.
Carnivals and cotton candy, carousels and calliope, Cupid dolls and painted faces, soda pop and rock candy trees. We're on a carousel, a crazy carousel, and now we go around again, we go around so high above the ground, we go around.
Bring back memories.
This was your idea, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
I'll get you later.
George, do your clown laugh for everybody out here. I love that.
Yes, this is my clown costume. When I got back from New York City, Evie heard I was home. She called me up and gave me a job working in her theater company. And we did all kinds of theater, musical comedy, children's theater. I lost my hair. Clowns singing telegrams. I know my absolute favorite, the Santa and Mrs. Claus show. Jingle, 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 it's time for old Kris Kringle. He would like to hear from you. Why don't you write a letter or two? Yeah, 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 yeah. God, I hate playing Santa Claus. Ho, fucking ho. I have to tell you, I may be an S&M'er, but I've never been in water sports. But as Santa Claus, I have been pissed on more times than a fetishist.
And what about Jamie?
Well, things with Jamie were a little rocky. And then Evie books us a tour. And I don't want to go because I don't want to leave Jamie. But he enthusiastically supports me to go. I think he really needed a break. So after much trepidation and controversy, I went. I could have a mansion on a hill. I could lease a villa in Seville, but it wouldn't be as nice as a summer in Ohio with a gay midget named Carl playing Tevye and I could wander Paris after dark, take a carriage ride through Central Park, but it wouldn't be as nice as a summer in Ohio, where I'm sharing a room with a former stripper and his snake, Wayne. a satchel full of dollar bills, cures for all the nation's ills, pills to make a lion purr. I could be in line to be the British Queen. Look like I was 17. Still, I'm certain I'd prefer to be going slowly batting 40 miles east of Cincinnati. I could shove an ice pick in my eye. I could eat some fish from last July, but it wouldn't be as awful as a summer in Ohio without cable, hot water, Vietnamese food for you. I saw your book at a Borders in Kentucky under a sign that said new and recommended. I stole a look at your picture on the inside sleeve and then I couldn't leave. Richard was with us, got uncharacteristically quiet, and he said,
All things considered, I guess you don't have to buy it.
so I smiled like Mona Lisa and I threw my visa down. He wants me, he wants me, but he ain't gonna get me. I found my guiding light. I tell the stars each night, look at me, look at him. Son of a bitch, I guess I'm doing something right. I finally got something right. No, it's not Nirvana, but it's on the way. I play laser at the matinees. Still, I'll get on my knees and pray I can state in my next bio I'm never gonna come back to Ohio. I could chew on tinfoil for a smell. I could get a root canal in hell, but it wouldn't be as swell as this summer is gonna be. 'Cause the torture is just exquisite while I'm waiting for you to visit. So hurry up, schmuck, get unstuck and get on the scene. I love the midget, the stripper, Wayne the snake, and your big old daddy bear. That's me.
So, rumor has it you broke up over artistic differences.
Yeah, I wanted to have S&M sex and he didn't. So, after that, I hauled my ass back out to the bar. You look familiar.
Like an ex-boyfriend.
Only when you smile, but I think I've seen you here before.
Do you go to the Cat Scratch Club? That's where I work, I dance.
Yes, they used to tie you up.
It's a living.
I didn't recognize you without the handcuffs.
So, George, I take it your next adventure into serial monogamy was with a slave boy?
Well, yeah. I found him in the Blue Note, that same old bar, and I started talking to him and telling him what I was into, and he said,
Oh boy, that sounds so hot. I've always wanted to get into that.
really? So I took him out to my van, I tied him up in the back, in slip knots, so he could get out if he wanted to, and I said to him,
I'm headed back in for a few drinks, boy. If you're still here and tied up when I get back, I'll take you home and make you my property.
and he was. So I did.
Please put that nose on, Mr. H. You know that makes me so hot.
Listen, boy, listen good. You ain't doing like you should. Let's get one thing understood. It's my way or the highway. trick. It's my way or the highway. When it comes to you and me, we ain't no democracy. Better get your ass in tow, 'cause there's one thing we both know. You ain't got no place else to go. It's my way or the highway. My way or the highway. I know that sounds a little harsh, but I nurtured and loved that young man for a couple of years. And I managed to get him to go back to school, quit his dead-end job, get a better job, and all the while he was gathering self-esteem and self-reliance, and he dumped me for a woman. What's up with that? Maybe it's the man boobs.
But Georgie gets married and married and married and never gets carried away. Oh, Georgie, get married today.
All right, that's it. You out.
But the show isn't over yet.
Fuck you. Get that asshole off that mic, will you? At this point in time, I had had enough of men. I decided I needed to learn what it was like to be alone.
Very well. Let's see how long you stay alone this time.
Alone. Well, during my little experiment alone, I, of course, had a lot of extra time on my hands. So I thought maybe it was time for me to give back a little bit. So this was still the point in time before the cocktail had been discovered. All we had was ACT. And I lost a lot of friends from my days in New York City. So I decided to volunteer with the Visiting Nurse Association, who had the grant from the New Jersey Department of Public Health for the HIV/AIDS prevention program. And I worked trying to keep people negative. And one of the events that we had to do was I would facilitate and attend these classes called Eroticizing Safer Sex. And at every single class, there was this young black man who would come in disheveled clothing, a little too big for him, and he never looked up. I had never seen his face before. And then one day, I asked the question, what would trigger you to have unsafe sex? And we went around the room, and when it got to me, I said, well, maybe a really hot black booty. And that little black man looked up for the very first time, looked into my eyes, and smiled. And in that moment, I was his. And Dorsey and I were together for about 5 years. And in that 5 years, he taught me what it was like to be loved unconditionally. Sympathy, tenderness, warm as the summer. Offer me their embrace. Friendliness, gentleness, strangers in my life, they are there in his face. It's a memory I someone like you, found someone like me, then suddenly nothing would ever be the same. There'd be a new way to live, a new life to love. If someone like you found me, oh, if someone like you found someone like me, then suddenly nothing would ever be the same. My heart would take wing, and I'd feel so alive. If someone like you loved me. Well, I think the real reason that that relationship didn't last any longer might have been the 12-year age difference. But like I said, I did, for the very first time, learn how to love unconditionally and learn what it was like to feel like I had been loved unconditionally, which is very lucky for my current partner, because if it wasn't for that experience, I don't think I ever would have been ready to have a mature, adult, equal relationship with someone my own age. Avery Ben and I met under some very difficult circumstances. We both had parents who were ill and dying, and I didn't want to meet him at first, but we met like almost everyone does these days on the internet, on a fetish site. Some habits die hard. And we've been together for about 3 years. We have had a lot of things in between us, like the Defensive Marriage Act, immigration, and the Atlantic Ocean. He's Dutch, a sailor. Not that kind of sailor. That kind of sailor, a competitive sailor. And this one's for him. Live in my house, I'll be your shelter. Just pay me back with 1,000 kisses. Be my lover, and I'll cover you. Oh, open your door, I'll be your tenant. Don't have much baggage to lay at your feet, but sweet kisses I've got to spare. And I'll be there, and I'll cover you. Oh, I think they meant it when they said you can't buy love. Now I know you can rent it. A new lease, you are my love. One life, be my life. Just lay me on, I'll be your blanket. Wherever, whatever, I'll be your coat. You'll be my king, and I'll be your castle, and I'll be your king, and you'll be my moat. I think they meant it when they said you can't buy love. Now I know you can rent it. A new lease, you are my love. One life, oh my life. I long to discover something as true as this is. So with 1,000 sweet kisses, when you're cold and you're lonely, with 1,000 sweet kisses, you've got one lover only. With 1,000 sweet kisses, I'll cover you. With 1,000 sweet kisses, I'll cover you. Oh, my lover, I'll cover you. Oh, my lover, I'll cover you.
one of these days, you might see me walking down the aisle wearing white. All right, maybe not white. Maybe mauve. All right. Not mauve. Curve red. I'm supposed to milk the applause and so you want me to do an encore, but we didn't rehearse one. But since you have seen me in my gay boy drag, you've seen me in my leather drag, you've seen me in my clown drag, and you've seen me in my perv drag, I thought maybe you would like the opportunity to actually see me in drag. The one time I donned the clothing of a woman was to play the role of Mary Sunshine in Chicago. And I think we've got a little clip if the thing works. Aren't I lovely? My parents were so proud.